Hi, folks. Welcome back. It's Keith Landy, your happy healer lover. There's a few things I wanted to go over. We are experiencing none other than the GameStop phenomenon. A lot of people, they're completely shocked
Here we
about
go.
that.
GME on the move. Got
So
up
much
to
is
282.
possible.
Hopefully
And so right now what's happening is, and I don't want to
hopefully
pause
this
it.
sparks some interest
I'm going to
options,
keep
but it's
this
a high risk.
live. What I'll do is I'll just keep it quiet for now. Actually, let's pause it and I'll just bring it live when it's time. But yeah, welcome. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, and this is for the people who are actually in it, and it's moving again. GameStop is on the go. It's just gone from $62. We're in that power hour, the last hour of the trading day. Now, this is the last hour of the normal trading day. And then we're going to have after hours trading, where last night in after hours trading, it really moved a lot. And then in pre-hours trading, which all of this is considered extended hours trading in the stock market, it took off again. And so then during live hours trading, me, Kevin was talking about it was going to dive. It ended up going up even beyond that. Its high today was $72. So it's showing itself that it can reach exuberant high numbers, and it's meeting them, and then after that it goes beyond them. So that's kind of what I've been seeing. And I wanted to talk a little bit about mitigating risk, one. Two, how to actually place your gambling bets, because that's what this is. You can lose your money. So you have to mitigate your risk. If it turns out that you put money on this bet that might be money you need for your rent next week, or that you might miss in a very serious way, you should really consider that when you're looking at this, because it could happen that maybe you lose some money that you can't afford to lose. Now that I made that, I'll also say I'm not a financial advisor. So right off the bat, you have that side of it. Now we're moving beyond that side of it. I honestly believe that this is going to go higher. It's already shown its ability to go higher. Right now it's at 64 and pushing. And so there's a couple of other things about mitigating risk and understanding how to deal with some of the emotions behind seeing the movements, because there are a lot of emotions that go behind seeing these movements. And sometimes, and for some people, if they've actually gotten into it the right way, meaning you could either buy stock directly and you'll make money. There's certain ways you can get into this. You could just get on Robinhood, or Webull is another way. And by the way, I'm monitoring the chat this time, and I'll write these down in the chat. You can buy stocks on Webull, Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, just to name a couple or a few. And yes, hey, what's going on? Screw college. I agree, buddy. And greed is going to definitely tear our country apart if we allow it. And I was actually talking about that a little bit in the last cast, which is to say, this is what unity in action looks like. Greed will never be able to be conquered unless we come together in a unified action. That's the people at the bottom who are already getting the shellacking. They're the ones who are hurting the most. The guys in suits and ties, the condescending candidates like me, Kevin, they are not caring about the people at the bottom. They instead use the people at the bottom. They try in really creative ways, if you're talking about me, Kevin, and how they could take advantage of people at the bottom, and in various ways, instead of working on building trust and building unified community. And I call it unified community in everything. That's what's going to change everything. I see the hodlers and the apes as the beginning of, they're sort of naturally coming together, and much like how I view my campaign for president of the United States. And right now I'm not in the campaign mode. We'll be getting into that. There's a whole lot of stuff that needs to happen before that happens. We're working on the campaign bus, other things. There's a lot of amazing things. And I'll be coming on more often to share that stuff with you guys. I live off grid, so right now I'm in Happy Force Mini. Happy Force 1 is actually the larger Prevo. And so I'll be bringing updated videos on that stuff. You'll be able to see what's going on. And that's really exciting stuff for me. But when it comes to these apes, there's 3 million, 4 million of people that just know that unity and sticking together and holding could change the system. Nope. The condescending candidates like me, Kevin, and others didn't believe it. Kevin had the chance to buy Monday morning. He didn't buy. He had the chance to buy this morning. Didn't buy. Believed it was going to go the other way. He had absolutely every sense in the world that he had to do it. Today, he finally put, you know, it wasn't even a purchase of the stock, really. What he did is he sold puts, which is not buying it. You can't possibly stay a year in that position. I don't know why he did that, except for he's day trading. He was supposed to be investing for a year. And now he's not really doing anything to help the stock go up. When he was telling his viewers and the people that are behind him, hey, invest in AMC and then I'll invest in, invest in my campaign and then I'll invest in AMC in my portfolio. That was a bad bet anyways. I invest in me, you invest in me, right? Like, it's awful. I mean, if he's serious about his campaign, you invest in me and I'll invest in the campaign also. I'll meet it. That's something that we're both interested in. That's why you're here. You're investing in the campaign. That's what I would have done. But he took on a different way and I didn't agree with it. I thought it was a bit shisty. And I doubted that he would follow through with that. And so, you know, and then I said, oh, if this thing goes parabolic before he gets in, he's really going to have a hard time buying the stock. In fact, knowing how cheap he is, he won't watch. He'll break his promise. And so then today comes around. And instead of buying the stock, what he turns around and does is he sells these puts. So that's on him. I know people aren't going to let him get away with that. I know he blocks any kind of dissent, anybody that speaks, and I mean anything. I mean, you could be the nicest about it and just, for example, you can ask about his health care plan. He might ignore you the first time. You ask again, he's going to block you. And why he's going to block you is because he doesn't have one. You know, in my view, every single person has such innate value and purpose in this life. They matter so much. We're each a product of our creator. And we have to think about each other as having real value and purpose. And that's what greed does. It takes away from that value and purpose. And what we see about these apes is they're coming together and they're building this unified movement. Now, you see what's possible in, we're already at 6420. You see what's possible with AMC. Imagine if we ran life like that. Our whole country unified, working for a stronger tomorrow, building a better unified existence for people that matter, have purpose and value is what we should be doing, not greed. So I'm right on board with you, brother. Greed is the worst thing, and it's really holding us back in ways that are going to make progress impossible for our nation. And so we'll get more into that later on. Right now, I want to stay focused on what we're talking about. So, yeah, it's right about the $64 range, hovering at about now, and I suspect it'll start going up now that we're in the power hour. And so you can invest in this by just buying the stock outright. Right now, it's $64. A lot of people are going to believe it's going to go well beyond that. Even by tonight, $100 after hours, totally can happen. The shorts covering, perhaps some of that happened. Maybe help push it up a little bit. I think when it got to that $72 range, we might learn in a couple of days, because it takes a little time to come out, that that's what was happening. And but there's still so many more that need to happen, and there's still so many people who are still shorting it, just like Kevin selling puts. There's somebody on the other end that are buying those puts, and it gives you the idea that some people still aren't believing in it. They're betting against it, and ultimately they are not in the mind of the apes. They don't realize that it's this unified action. They are hodlers. They hold to the end, and they have a goal. They know what it is, and it's important to reach, and they stick with it. And so, yeah, hey, Casual Goats, what's going on? I know you said you looked like, it looks like I gained some weight and lost some fire. Well, yeah, I had a fire on the campaign bus. I did gain a little bit of weight. I hurt my back. And I'm right now getting back in it. So I'm going to be coming back on camera more often. You know, and what I'm going to show you is that we can get organized, get excited. And I did get a little bit depressed. I mean, folks, we had COVID happen, and then my campaign bus burned up, and that was a big loss. I lost a lot on that. It was underinsured. And then right after that, I lost my brother, my eldest brother. And during that time, my back went out. I need to have a surgery on my back. Oh my goodness, this was a lot of stuff coming together. I did put on some weight, and so now you know what we're gonna do moving forward. And I have the Landy Mantics brands of passions that I talk about, but also so many things that I have to work on now, preparing for life in the next campaign. And you know, I care so much about you guys. I've been at this for so long, and it's not about, oh, you know, tons of viewers and all the wrong things. It's really about the right things. By the way, AMC's gone up almost to 65 at this point. It's actually at 65.40. It's beginning that parabolic move, baby. And that's why I say you could even have bought it when I told you at 62, and it could totally be a great investment just buying out the stock. But the other option is, of course, you could get into options, and you know, you could do either calls or like what Kevin did, puts, or you can get even beyond that, sell puts and calls and this kind of thing. I believe that if you just buy a call, which is a pretty simple move, right now it's going on 65.90, then for every dollar it moves, you make $100 instead of $1. It actually increases your ability to make money, but also your ability to lose money. So let's say you put $10,000 on calls right now. That could easily become $100,000 in a very quick time, but it can also be lost in a very quick time. So those are the things you need to realize about options trading. I think for a stock that's moving this parabolic, I think it makes sense. Typically, I don't think that options are a good play, especially for people who don't know it very well. I was just watching another channel from a gentleman, and one of the guys there, they were thanking him, oh man, I'm up $400,000. Thank God you taught me how to do options. If you never taught me, I never would have known. I never would have been able to be up. And thank you very much, Caswell. I appreciate that. And, you know, it's not here to be fake. I'm a good looking guy. I believe in myself. I have confidence. I gain weight, whatever. Right now, I'm a heifer. In another year, I'll be rock hard, solid, whatever it takes. That's the kind of attitude that, you know, I've always had. And that's a winning attitude. We have these knockbacks. Life is like that. I lost my brother. My bus went on fire. The campaign really was up against a lot when that happened. And I didn't have the move like what Kevin has, for example. He really takes for granted the viewership that he has. And, you know, I think he treats people the wrong way in some cases. And that's what rubs me off the wrong way. And that's why I speak up about that stuff. And then, of course, if you speak up, then you get blocked. And it's just not good. People don't see eye to eye. They're so deep into a different frame of thought. Like his whole mind, he's worth $20 million. His whole mind is about how great he is. Can't you just see? Just look how great I am. And that's not how I work. I'm more about all of us. And, you know, he's got his people that buy his programs and his courses, and they stick with him, and they do. Some of the ones that stick with him do well, but what about the 50 or 60 or 70% that don't do well? Blocks him, doesn't need him, don't matter. You know, this is the kind of stuff that rubs me off the wrong way about this guy. Personally, I offered him the charter bus. I talked about, oh, guys, we're up to $68. This is the parabolic move. If you guys got on, any of you, because of my suggestion, I hope you're doing well. Either way, it's not about, I'm not going to demand you get in. I'm not going to pay if you lose your money. So you obviously got to make that choice on your own. You got to be smart about it. Nobody's going to pay if I lose money. And I'm in this for us. Anything I do, anything I gain, any progress I make, you can rest assured I'm going to be on life working for you. I care about us all. I really do, so much to my heart. And if it makes me stronger, then it's only going to make the movement stronger that we're building. That is really the ape movement, the hodlers, the coming together, the people that are unifying. That's so important. It's only going to be a measure of unification that starts at the bottom, focused on the right ideas, that people matter, have purpose and value, that they deserve a life worth living too. And then those people continuously come together. Now, some of them, they're not queued up on how things really should be, right? With greed and to avoid greed. And I talk about this stuff a lot. So let's say they have some good luck in the market, or, you know, even with AMC we're talking about here. That's really going to be hard for them because they might turn around and become one of these greedy guys now. That's the difference between people with money and that don't have money. As soon as you don't have money, like a new aura comes over you. You all of a sudden realize, wow, why don't people understand our value and all this stuff? But then the moment you have money, you forget about all that. That's why you got to keep that in your mind the whole way. And that's one thing I'm very good at. I realize what matters. And it gets me in trouble because I'm so intently focused on everyone else, I do forget about myself sometimes. And like this gentleman here just said, casual, I did put on some weight. That's okay. Happens. I'll lose it just as well. I lost it before I had put it on. By the way, I had weight and then I lost it. I put it back on. And, that's kind of what life does, because you deal with a lot of things, and depression can do it to you too. And quite frankly, that's easy to happen when you consider what's going on in the world. And then you run into all these additional problems like what I had. And it's easier just to fall back. And, I did a lot of writing, reading. I don't have to be in the front of the camera. I sure don't need that. There's usually it's not always rewarding, let's say, when you're putting so much time and effort into it, but yet the YouTube algorithms don't care. Yet people who are so focused, like, it makes more sense in the world of greed health to do like what Kevin does than it does to do like what I do. Because you sell people on this, you make them buy a program, now they're yours, and you own them psychologically from a money standpoint. If something is free, it has no value. And I learned that from a lot of people on YouTube. I see a lot of people that are successful, they do that. And if you do something so great, but you don't charge for it, well, it must not have value then. And so I'm really giving that a lot of thought, and I'm thinking about the movement, and there might be some changes. But here's one difference that'll always be true. Kevin, off of the backs of YouTubers, have made $20 million because he put it to work. He was smart. He didn't just make the YouTube money, but he also built classes. He didn't just do YouTube and classes, but also has other various things where you spend money with him. And then he takes all that money and he throws it in the stock market. And then, so like all these constantly compounding and, to build his wealth. And that's all it is about him. And then now he's got that money set aside. That's for him. That's for him and his family, his children. That's it, the end. When I make progress, let's say if I was me, Kevin, I would be thinking about how can I, whatever resources I have, how can I work for the people to bring about the changes we all deserve? That is it. I am about us. We are in this together. And so, yes, does my own personal life matter? Absolutely, all of our lives matter. But I'm not going to put myself above other people, to the extent that I might be high up and working hard, but it's all for them. And I won't, and I've talked about this from the beginning. I've always been that way. And besides, for the next year, we have a lot of work, a lot of various things we're going to be doing that really matter. And you guys are going to learn a lot about solar. I'm going to bring you back into my life. And I'm going to use that ambition and that push and to do other parts of my life, to diet better. Because when I'm connected with you guys, I'm healthier. That's true too. And I mean, I really care. When I'm doing this, I'm doing what I love. And that'll be a part of it. So we're down to 66. So I had to move. And then, that's kind of what it does. And now it might stick around this level and it'll push again. So, let's get back onto this stock. So let's say you put, I don't know what your budget is. You have to decide what your budget is. But I'm going to show you some different options in here that you could honestly do to change your own fortunes. Let's say you want to do an option on AMC. First thing you'd have to do is go to options if you're in Webull, right? And then it gives you this window right here. And you could see in the center of that window, now we're on calls, we're not on puts. There's a difference between calls and puts. Calls is when you expect the stock to go up. So don't do a put unless you expect the stock to go down. Some people, they like to play these in short movements. They see all this back and forth, and so, oh, it gone too high, it's going to come back down. They'll play it for a buck or two. They'll get out of it. Oh, it's going to go high, play it for a buck or two. That's how you go broke quick too, so be very careful. This stock right now is at 66.58. It's changing around too much to really put a number on the change, but 66.5. And let's say you were to go in and put a $67 call. Now you could see which one is the $67 call, bottom left-hand part of your screen on my phone here. And it's the first one here that shows its bid is right now $14.94. So it's expensive. And that's because of the volatility in the market. And now you could see here, there's different options, right? You're going to go long calls, $67. Now, this is only good until June 4th, so this expires on Friday. You could buy this, and it can go completely worthless on Friday at 4 p.m. Whatever you buy in options, you've got to look at the expiration date. And if it expires the Friday that you're in, the same week like this does, in just a couple of days, you got to focus on that and make that a part of your play. If you don't, you're going to have a lot of problems because you'll lose all that money. And that's happened to me the hard way. That's very, very painful. And my goodness, that's so painful. So you've got to really just take a break back, take a step back, look at this thing. And thank you, Casual. Appreciate that. He said that at least I still look good, and he hopes to see me on more streams. And I'll be around. Let's go ahead and get this going. So let's say you're going to do this, right? Next. Now, it brings you to this screen. So the price went up to 15.10 because it's moving along. That's what happens with these options. They move quick. And so you've got one contract. Each contract has 100 shares. This gets a little complicated. I'm trying to explain this fast, but each contract has 100 shares. And so when you buy a contract, you're buying 100 shares of the stock. Imagine buying 100 shares of a stock that costs $60. That's $6,000. But yeah, with this, you could do it with $15.10 per share. So it comes up to much less. It's $1,500. And now you have 100 shares. But you don't actually own the shares. All you do is own the shares from the price that you bought it at. $15.10 is the cost to do that for each share. And you bought it at 60, what is this call for? This is the $67 call. So once it gets up to $67, which right now it's getting there close, then you would start making money for every dollar it moves because you own 100 shares, right? Temporarily. Then you make $1 per share approximately. And the more you go, the more that is realized because of intrinsic value. Intrinsic value is the value that you're paying for it in the first place. Remember, you're paying that $15.10 per share, not to own the share. That's just to borrow the share. And when you're borrowing the share, you have to pay that. And you have a time limit that you own it for. The time limit says right on there, it's for until the end of this week. And so now you know for how long you own it. You know for how much it costs to own it for that time. Do you really own it, or you just own it for a time? You own it for a time. And what does that cost? That cost is $15. So $15 times 100 is a $1,500 purchase versus having to otherwise make, well, in this case, a $6,700 purchase. So that's a lot cheaper. Now, if you don't sell before Friday, you lose it all. So you could lose potentially your whole $1,500 investment. 1, 2. If the stock goes down, you'll lose that. That'll become you'll lose that very quickly because it's gone down. But because you still own it between now and Friday, it could go down and go up and go down and go up. As long as you sell it when it's up and you sell it before Friday, you're doing great. And that's the idea behind options. So you're in a limited degree of time with options. You don't have all this time to do it with. You got to get to it or you're going to miss out. You've got to sell your position. You got to get to it in at the right position. All these things matter when you're talking about options. It's so important. All right, so that's options, and that's covering it very shortly. I think now it does. That's the calls. I didn't really get into the puts. The puts are the same thing, but the other way. It's going down. You're paying to own the shares for that time, and for every dollar that it goes down, you make approximately $100. Not the first dollar, because there's a break-even point also. So there's other various considerations. And to that end, I'll just say this. Remember that $15 cost in the first place for each stock? Well, after time goes on, after today, it'll cost less because you only got 2 more days left. All that's buying is time. That's it. Time that you own that stock for. You don't own it. That's why you're just borrowing it. Time that you can borrow that stock for. You're borrowing the ability to take on its winnings. Or now if it loses, let's say it drops $30, something ridiculous. It loses. If you had owned the stock, you would have lost all your money. In this case, the good part of options is you're limited to how much you can lose, where you're not limited to how much you can gain. You can just buy that thing and it can go parabolic to $200 and you'll be in. That's how people make it when they get they make $400,000 or $500,000 and they started out with 10. That's how you know that's what they did. So now you know options are an option. You can do calls or puts depending on whether you think the stock's going up or down. And of course, one of the easiest things you could do is just buy the stock and hodl like an ape and just hang on to it, because then you don't have any of these time restrictions. There's people who bought AMC. It went parabolic and then it dropped down to, $40. And they're bag holding. Bag holding is when you bought it much higher and now you still got it. But the best part about it is you have time on your side. No longer is this intrinsic value in play. Now you've got time, so you can wait. And people did wait. Now look at GameStop. It went up to $250 just yesterday. I don't know what it is now. Probably more even. And so let's see what that's at actually. GameStop, $282. So there you go. That gives you an idea. People aren't giving up on this. The apes, they don't pump and dump. That's what I have a lot of respect for. And that's why I recognize what they're doing. They're doing unified action. That's the happy healer message. All of us need to become unified to make America 1000x. And that's exactly how we'll get it done too. Because we can do unified progress. We can invest in real economic progress for people, all people. We can get so much more done unified. We can technologically make progress in this lazy world of greed at a tune that they would be shocked to see. And really, it's hard to put that in words sometimes. But then when you see how something like this happens, it actually gives you an idea on really what is possible. And there is so much more possible. All right, so that's let's get back here to our main stock. So it went up. Now it's at 63, 63. I mean, it moves around. And you can't allow this stuff. Now let's talk a little bit about risk and your ability to deal with these movements. At one point, you can see, oh my God, my account, it grew so much. Oh, why did it lose? Oh, what's happening? You can't live like that. First off, money shouldn't even have that kind of push on you. Money is like a tool. And the more you treat it like that, the better off you are. And you make sound decisions and have a plan going into it. And when you lose, carry on. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep creating. And when you win, guess what? Carry on. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep creating. What people are doing here is they're putting a certain amount of money up that they might have been able to use for other things. But without it, it's not going to change their life that much. But if they put it in this play the right way, and they count on the other hodlers and apes to do what they're supposed to do, together, unified, they can make the difference. Even when all the talking points, when Meet Kevin wants to say otherwise, when CNN wants to say otherwise, or any of these other places want to say otherwise, it doesn't matter what they say. The apes decided they're going to stay unified in action and get it done. That is impressive. That's what they need to learn out of this. And that's what the apes already knew. So deal with these losses knowing, first off, walk into it a loser. Make your bets. Have your prime set mind. You know what's going to happen. You got to keep that side of it real. But then say, all right, once you made your payout, your whatever you're going to put into this thing, that's it. You're done. That money's gone. You're never going to see it again. Think that way. Honestly, think whatever else you got with, that's what you got to make it through the rest of the week with, month with, year with. Don't even count this money at all. Put it in there, and then now you're free. Now you can think the right way with this money. Logically. Don't get emotional. It goes way. If you see it goes way up but it didn't hit where you really want it to be yet, don't get emotional. Have a plan. Stick with it. If it's life-changing money, this is the way they're walking into it. If it's life-changing money, that you've got enough that it's really going to make the difference in your life at this point, cash out. That's the time to cash out. Now you have life-changing money. You took money that wouldn't change your life and you turned it into life-changing money. And you walked in with a good mind because you never said, this is money I'm exchanging for life-changing money. Instead, you said, this is money I'm throwing away, gone. And now, psychologically, you're ahead of the game. You've really got to do that. And then you're acting like a winner. And then you know. And by the way, that's also not being greedy. When you think greed gets fearful, greed and fear is like one and one. That's how the stock market typically works. When we get to the world of God's love, the stock market's going to be a great tool for regular people wealth. I believe it. I also believe that we're never going to be able to get to the world of God's love unless we get away from greed. We're never going to be able to get to a better world while greed is holding us back. So that's one thing I always talk about a lot. 63.23 is where we are at, folks. I'll come back on and I'll just sort of do an update video a little bit later on. The reason why I'm coming on more is because I was wanting to share this and sort of let you know where I'm at with things. I'm in Happy Force Mini right now. Remember, I sold my home. For the last couple of years, I've been perfecting the ability to live off grid. I do it very well. I know how to do solar. I know how to do electrical work, all this great stuff. You're going to be seeing some wonderful changes on Happy. The new Happy Force One, my goodness, has any candidate from the people, of the people, and by the people have had so much adversity to do and give all of what they can back to the people. It's me, and it's been unbelievably difficult at times. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to show not only can we do it, we're going to come back into it having fallen and coming back harder and stronger, because true heroism, it's not defined by those condescending candidates who never fell. It's defined by those like me, your happy healer lover, who fell and then rose to the challenge again and succeeded. And that's what true heroism is defined by. And so don't ever be afraid of failure, so long as you are working for the right causes. You're putting your passion in it. You're doing it for things and people matter. And you're doing it for yourself. It's not a greedy thing when you realize that you're doing it for everybody. See, the thing in this world, and people get a little confused because I say greed is bad, but you're supposed to love yourself hard, and you're supposed to love yourself the most even, so that way you are better prepared to love everybody else too. But we're not doing it very good when we do it with greed, because then the greed tells us that nobody else matters. But the very truth, the knowledge of how much we matter to ourselves, should tell us how much everybody else matters. But that's how greed gets in the way, and it takes away from what matters. Right now we're just hovering. Again, we were hovering at 61, 60, 61, 62, 60, 61, and now we're doing the same thing at 63. And by the way, we're in the last 26 minutes of the market day, and during that last 26 minutes, gosh, I don't know, tonight's going to be crazy. But my goodness, decisions, you guys, you Hodlers and apes out there, really have to decide where you at now. Is that the life-changing money that's going to change your life and you need? If not, hodl, hold. And if so, get out of it. You've got what you need. That's the mentality that the apes are walking in with. That's how they do it. So stick with it, and I'll continue sticking with it. I'll continue working my hardest. I have weight to lose. I'll be losing some weight as we go. I'm not going to, look, I am who I am. And that's the way we're supposed to accept ourselves and accept each other. And I'm not bad or by any means. Actually, you'll see I've gained about 60, 70 pounds. And I had a little bit of weight on before. So, I'd originally lost about 100 pounds. I would say I probably could do to lose about 80 pounds right now. And that's due to what has happened with this year. Has been very tough. And so during the course of this next year, I assure you, I'll be losing weight. I'm already getting back in my diet. I had ice cream today, but that's fine. And it'll change, and you'll see, and I'll inspire you folks. You'll see what we can, what a human being could do is possible, because I have so much stuff going on, and you'll see when I'm sharing it all. And, what we can overcome, the challenges. Bad things happen, but we overcome them. People kill themselves because they lose things, like Enron investors. They lost all their money for their investment. I mean, you don't kill yourself over that. I lost this stuff. I lost my Happy Force One, the first one. I mean, that's what life is, My brother died. I mean, that's so incredibly tough. My back went out. I mean, I need back surgery. This is the kind of stuff that really pushed people over the edge. But what defines us is when we get stronger, we deal with that stuff, and we come out charging. And that's what I'm going to be doing. So God bless you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll be on and off again, back and forth, just sharing with you guys, hopefully building an audience, doing interesting things that you guys really care about. Help me build the audience, and it'll only help push me along further. And I'll share everything with you guys. That's how I always do anyway. I share everything. And, you know, I'm living for us. That's my life. I live for us. You know, I'm not interested in getting into a relationship. I said that years ago because my relationship is with all of us. And in greed hell, I don't think we got a bad problem ahead of us. Greed is destroying our world. And until we really address it, and people think that addressing greed means we have to live in poverty. That's not the truth. That we live in a world of scarcity now. The idea is to bring in the world of abundance so that then you don't, have some people living high on a hog, but others dying on the street. It's insane. All right, lovers, I'll talk to you soon. God bless you. And apes out there, keep pushing. We're at 65.38. My goodness, we're going parabolic. We'll see you soon.